Welcome to the Temple of Geek podcast. My name is Kari, and I will be your host as we share our thoughts on the House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 3. If you haven't watched the show, save the episode for later and come back as there are going to be spoilers. If this is your first time tuning into the Temple of Geek podcast, welcome. The Temple of Geek podcast has been around since 2012 and is hosted by various geeks from the Temple of Geek team. Here we cover all manner of geek pop culture news and events. To our returning listeners, thank you again for tuning in. We really appreciate you being here. So, episode 3. Today, I have my amazing other journalist, entertainment correspondent, Sue, here with us, also part of the Temple of Geek team. Unfortunately, JJ won't be able to, join us for this week's episode. She will be back for the next week. So, this is going to be probably a little bit shorter because we don't have the lore knowledge that she has from the books. So, we're just going to go off strictly based off of what we saw on the show. Maybe some stuff that we have learned from JJ. So yeah. So Sue Days, thanks so much for being here again.
Of course.
This episode was information heavy. There was a lot of information in this episode, a lot of introductions, a lot of history and lore that we've been introduced to in this episode. But overall, what did you think about this week's episode?
This week's episode was it was like you said, it was like filled with a lot of information, and like a lot is now starting to happen in different places. And we, like you said, we get to see a little bit of like the history a little bit more outside of just the greens and the blacks and like Dragonstone and King's Landing. We get to see a little bit more of what's happening in other places in the realm that are obviously relevant to the war that is coming up or that has semi started already. So it's interesting to now see all the different things that are at play in other parts of the Westeros.
Yes. No, absolutely. I think this is not, very much action packed at all. There was like not much action, but again, it's just a lot of good, basically information for many of us that haven't read the books and don't really know the lore and stuff. So with all these new characters and all these different things coming into play now, it's definitely starting to become way more interesting and intricate now. How all of the politics it's starting to work with all the different, all the different lords and who their allegiances are to and stuff. Which that's how we start off this episode, which starts. It's very graphic. We get introduced to the Brackens and the Blackwoods, which from what we've heard from JJ and what we've learned, they have had like a crazy enemies relationship for like forever. Like they've been enemies since forever. I know people have been excited that I've seen online for this character called Ben, I think Blackwood. The Bloody Ben, they call him. Bloody Ben. Yeah, Bloody Ben. Now, we don't know if that, because everybody got excited from a picture that they had shown of the character, but we don't get to hear if that is him or not. And then when we see all the crazy, like all the bodies, we don't see his body there, so we still don't know if that's the character. So I'm sorry if it's not for everybody was super excited for this character, but regardless, it's interesting how we're already getting different factions actually coming at each other. Basically, the war has already started in these smaller parts, and we see all of these dead. Like it was crazy when I saw these dead bodies just all laying out there.
I was not expecting that. I actually like when they transition from the guy alive and then like dead with the sword right through his neck. At first I was like, that's not the same person, because I was looking at his tunic and it was like blood-soaked red. I didn't realize that was blood, but it was red. So I was like, wait a minute, is that a different guy who's Blackwood? Like, because obviously the transition indicates that that's the same character, but he looks different.
He's Bracken, I'm sorry.
Red.
That was a Bracken. Bracken.
Yes, but I thought he was Blackwood because his tunic looks red, but it's from the blood. And then like they like zoom out and it's just like bodies everywhere. And it's
everywhere.
Just... My goodness.
It just gives us, I guess, a scale of how that's just these two small factions. That's just like we kind of get a foreshadow of the scale of how bloody and big this war is gonna be, right?
Yeah. And the fact that this war is almost like the match that's like lit the spark in a lot of rivalries that already existed, right? And sometimes it's not even going to be that, people are, team green or team black or whatever because they're loyal to them. It's more that they hate the other somebody on the other side more than they like so much that they're going to go to the other. And that's what we see with the Brackens and the Blackwoods, is like they're literally on opposite sides mainly because they hate each other, as opposed to being loyal to the two sides that they're loyal to. And they're just like looking for an excuse literally to just get at each other. Oh,
Get at each
oh
other. It
man.
was like
Yeah, like it
perfect
just
excuse.
literally.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was a good introduction. But I mean, we know that it's the show is bloody regardless, so it's gonna be pretty crazy. The next shot that we see is the twins getting buried together. Oh my gosh, it was. And Rhaenyra just being so, I think it was like so kind hearted because Jace was like, why are you burying them together? His brother, like, basically was a traitor and he came over here and he tried to kill you. He killed his brother. He tried to kill his brother, but Rhaenyra was like, well, they were brothers. They loved each other, you know? And I love that they still showing that side of Rhaenyra because I'm pretty sure later on, we're gonna get a very different side of Rhaenyra from what we've seen so far.
She's gonna have to make decisions that end up causing a lot of hurt and harm and death and destruction. But it like you said, it's nice to see that like humanity to her. And even like she says something along the lines of like he was just fulfilling his oath, right? Like the fact that he came to, you know, that the assassination attempt was on her, but she still understands the fact that like, well, he's fulfilling, his oath and the commands that he was given by the Greens. So she's not blaming him for it, which is really interesting. Anybody else would have, and it's also really nice to see the the difference between the reactions between the Greens and the Blacks with all the various things that happen. Like when we see Luke's, like the aftermath of Luke's death, the aftermath of Jaehaerys's death, and then now this assassination attempt, like you get to see how the two sides are, like the different characters on both sides are reacting, which I think is really nice to see.
We get the difference of Rhaenyra. There was an attempt against her life, and she's still trying to hold back. She's still not trying to like just full on go and like, okay, yeah, let's start this war already. She's still trying to find some type of peaceful solution, which I think it's kind of holding back because they've been already showing their face already many times. Just with the Luke getting attacked, that should have been like huge already. That's it. We're done. There's nothing else that can be done. You know. But I mean, she's really trying, and I feel so bad because I know that she doesn't want this to escalate even more than it already has.
Rhaenyra is laying blame at the feet of the person who did the act, right? Like she's blaming Aemond for Luke's death. She's not blaming all of the Greens and everybody at King's Landing for that death, whereas Aegon for Jaehaerys's death. I mean, listen, it is also like it's a baby, it's his son. I understand that, but he's like, I don't care, I want blood, and he's blaming everybody, on Rhaenyra's side, right? And so it's interesting seeing like the response to what happens, and the difference between the two of them.
And then you also see how, like in the Greens, we have Aegon's council trying to like also hold him back a little bit, like restrain and stuff. But then we see the opposite in Rhaenyra's council. They're like, "Yo, we need to go to war. Let's go." So it's just, and then Aegon is like, "Yes, I want war." His council's like, "No." Rhaenyra's like, "I don't want war," but her council's like, "Yes, we want war." And I think Rhaenys is like kind of Rhaenys is kind of being also her anchor in that sense. Like, because Rhaenys is also trying to be like, keep it down. Let's calm down. It was interesting this conversation that they had where Rhaenys actually said this was not Otto because he's not that dumb. That was not Otto Hightower's idea. This was the youngings. These was the young people that decided to go all hot headed and get this done, right? And then she asked, like, when did this war really begin? You know, was it when the throne was usurped? Was it with the beheading? Was it with Aemon killing Luke? Was it when Luke took Aemon's high? Like, when
Yeah.
when
How
did
far
this
back?
start?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no consent. Like I think JJ has said it before. There's never gonna be a winner. in any war when it's two families that are at war with each other. And she says, there was no war more hateful to the gods as war between king, and no bloodier than a war between dragons. I was like, that's a line. I was like, whew, that's a line. Nobody wins. Nobody's gonna win. Of course, it's gonna be hateful to the gods because that's your own, and it's both sides are gonna suffer no matter what. So
Exactly. And because they have such history, right? Because they are a family and they have all of that history. Rhaenys bringing up Aemon losing his eye to I forget which of the brothers. I think it was Luke that
Luke,
did end up
Luke did that.
taking his
It was Luke.
exactly. And I'm glad that she brought that up because it's like that's like way before the usurpation happened, but there's still like the animosity and all of that happening. And again, because they are a family, there's all of that history, and there's you're never gonna you can go back as far as you can, and it's always gonna be like, well, he did this and he did that and he did this, and right on both sides. And so there's never going to be a point at which you say, well, this person or this side started it, or this person or this side started it. It's always going to be this muddy relationship because they have that history as a family. And I love Rhaenys. I love that entire scene with Rhaenys. I love the wisdom. I love just how brilliant she is. And I will keep saying this, I will keep saying this, but had she been queen instead of Viserys, this war would not have happened with this generation. It would have probably happened later on, let's be honest. But or maybe a different war would have started up had she become queen, because having a woman on the Iron Throne, right, is blasphemy apparently, even though there's nothing in terms of law that prevents it. But she would not have allowed this to happen had she reigned. But but back to this conversation, the wisdom that she shows and the advice that she gives Rhaenyra, I think, was brilliant, and it just adds to Rhaenys' character, just how brilliant she is, and also how she understands and she pays attention, like really, really pays attention. Like when she said, "This isn't Otto. This is the younger hotheads." Like she not only saw Otto and what he was doing and how he was plotting and all of that, but she understands his mind, and she understands like what he would do and what he wouldn't do. And I think that that's just like brilliant. And it's interesting again seeing the different advice and the different people giving advice to the king and queen right now, right? Like Aegon and Rhaenyra, and how they're giving that advice. Like Otto was essentially, I mean, as awful as he was also still kind of level-headed when it came to giving Aegon advice, at least what we've seen this season. And then Rhaenys also, like the way that she's been giving, not just giving advice to Rhaenyra, but also like kind of bringing her down a little bit as well, when she got really emotional that one scene in the council room, I think in the last episode. But she just like seeing like the difference between the people who are providing counsel to this king and queen, and how they're internalizing that. Like Aegon obviously kicks Hot out, whereas Rhaenyra is actually taking Rhaenys' advice.
But I love that mirroring that they have going on right there between the two. Okay, so the next thing that we have going on is Crispy Ho. I'm sorry, I can't tell him anything.
Listen,
I said Crispy Ho.
Listen, I made a note as well, being like, "Ew, green banners, being placed on the castle with a Targaryen sigil." I was like, "Oh, that just feels wrong.
Ugly.
It's so gross.
Like, Targaryen so green, like that does not.
No, like they're taking the Targaryen sigil and they're turning it and they're putting it on green banners, and I was like,
green banners.
It just looked so bad.
It didn't look good at all. Nah. So we see Crispy coming in, and then you see how they have they replaced all the Kingsguards. There's like new Kingsguards, and they're all like side eyeing him. I was dying laughing. I was like, don't look at him.
They weren't zero respect. Like they weren't even like they didn't the ones who were sitting on the stairs like they weren't even standing. They didn't stand up when he came. They barely had their armor on properly. Like I think some of them were missing weapons. It's like,
and they were just looking at him like,
yeah, like who are you? Yeah. Literally. Yep. Oh man, they're like, you.
Because I'm sure they're feeling away for him sending Arik to basically go die, and like the way because everybody saw how he treated him, so they were like, that's how you treat your freaking fellow Kingsguard? Like, what kind of respect are they gonna have for this dude, So I was dying laughing. I was like, that's right.
Oh,
I
me too.
approve
I was
this.
like, that's exactly how that's how he should be treated every time he goes out in public. Contempt and disrespect. And literally, were these Kingsguards also like younger? I think some of them were, but I don't
I
know if
think
all of
so. I
them
think
were.
some of them
Okay.
were young. Yeah, they did look younger. They did. And
Stupid decision. Like why are you taking like removing the experienced Kingsguards who already know the castle, who know the ins and out, who know the people, who know all of like the people working in the castle. They understand the people, like they know the royal people that they're assigned to. Why are you removing them and bringing these like young people who are like not even trying at their jobs, like like they're clearly not trained enough, and I'm like, who is making these decisions and why? And it's Crispy. Crispy
it
Ho.
is. Crispy Ho.
Just making one bad decision after the other, like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Yeah, he is. He's. I mean, that's what happens when Aegon is. I mean, that's how Aegon is. You could tell that Aegon is just not the type to like really think about things and like think smart and carefully. That's why Otto was supposed to be there to guide him to through all that. But
Yeah. And then you've got Crispy who failed upwards his
and he's
entire
like,
life.
oh, I just want to go fight. Blah, 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 blah.
You can also see him as he's walking into the council room. He's like about to throw up. Like he I think he understands he's not cut out for the being hand and also being the commander of the Kingsguard. Like it's like he's barely making it as the commander. Now he's gotta be hand of the king as well. And it's just like he's not okay. He feels like the pressure, and he knows
Way above his pay grade.
way above his pay grade, way
Way above.
above. And the funny thing is, it's interesting how confident he was when he was talking to Aemond in the first episode, talking about like strategy and stuff. And now when he's actually in the position to, advise and get the king agreeing to these plans and stuff, he's just like he's afraid, he's terrified, and it's because he's not smart enough. Let's be honest.
I feel like he's making like rash decisions, like because now we get him saying, "Oh, I'm gonna take a small contingent of like army, and we're gonna go to Harrenhal. We're gonna take it over." But and then I think it's Allison the ones that trying to like actually seem the always the reason, but there's not enough people. You don't have enough people to take over there, especially if you're not gonna take a dragon. You're not taking a dragon with you. And then that's when Aegon was like, "Well, I'll go." No, sir, you can't go. You're the king.
Dude, I was like, Aegon, please go and die.
I mean, you know what? Go ahead. Go ahead, bro. Do what you gotta do. Get this war over with.
I'm like, Cole, do you really think that if you thought about how Harrenhal is the most important part on the along the river, like if that like position is really like strategic to take hold of, do you really think that the Blacks haven't figured that out too, and that they're not going to be coming, right? And they've got like more people on dragons that they can like send down. Like they've got Rhaenys, they've got Daemon, they've got Rhaenyra. I mean, obviously they're not going to send her out. They've got Jace, and they have Bela. Like there's five. Yeah, yeah. But they've got five capable people. Well, okay, let's say four, because they're not going to send out Rhaenyra, but they've got like four very capable, two of them extremely skilled, um on pretty powerful dragon. Like they've got Daemon and Rhaenys, right? And it's like, and then who do you have on your side? You have Aemond, you have Aegon, you have Helena. Who else that actually has like good?
Helena's not
Helena's not
riding a
gonna go.
dragon.
Aegon shouldn't go. They need Vhagar to protect King's Landing. So like do you really like if he had thought about it for like 2 more seconds, he would have been like, oh yeah, the Greens are gonna be there with a dragon. Like, right? Even if they send the least experienced person, Bela, with a small, I think her dragon is the smallest of all the people who are dragon riders on Team Black. Even if they send out Bela with her dragon, she's still way more experienced and skilled than the most experienced and skilled person on Team Green. So like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like Vhagar, the only reason they have any like confidence right now is because of Vhagar. That's it. And it's just because Vhagar is huge, not because Aemond is skilled. Like, I mean, we already saw that he's not skilled with, his how he killed Luke, but that's the only thing is like they just have the biggest dragon on their team right now. That's all they have going for them. They don't have the skills, they don't have the numbers, they just have one big huge dragon. And it's crazy that that Crispy Cole did not like think this through.
Not only that, you still don't have the numbers and army wise, like with your army, with
Exactly.
your, you don't have the numbers yet. Like,
Yeah.
well, again, demise. So I'm all for it. Go ahead.
He's trying to make up for like his past mistakes, and he thinks that this is the way to do it by going out and like taking action, because he obviously couldn't do that with the assassination attempt on Rhaenyra, but he was like he sent somebody else in his place, but he's trying to like make amends or make up for his mistakes, and he's again going about it the wrong way. But anyways, I just hope he dies. I can't wait
That's
for
what
that.
I'm thinking. I don't care what he says, what he does. Just go die, bro. I'm already sick of you.
I was I was hoping he would take Aegon with him, and then Daemon would just do his thing and just Dracarys both of them.
Yeah.
I'm not
So you
sorry.
know what?
That's what I
Bye.
was hoping for. Bye. If only. If only.
I
Oh
wish.
man.
I wish. But yeah, so we get that scene, but then I think the next scene is, we get Arya and Rhaenyra talking. But Arya is like, listen, I saved your life, so what up? What am I getting? And Rhaenyra's like, what do you want? And Masara's like, I want to be in your court. I want to be up in here with you guys. I want to be advising you. And I absolutely love that she is giving herself a place like that, because she starts talking about all this, everything that she's went through, everything that happened to her growing up. It's like, I've had to fight for my life. I've had to fight for my place, for whatever I have. And you know what? Freaking high towers, they took all of that away from me. Everything that I worked so hard, that I had to sacrifice, not, others, myself. And now I have nothing to show for it. So this is what I want now. Like, I made this, I did this. Okay, yeah, not all of, maybe she didn't do it completely out of loyalty, because she knew that if she helped the queen, it was gonna be some type of reward for her. But still, I it was a very, very big play for her.
Mhm. And it's very strategic for her as well. Like I think her loyalty is mostly to the small folk, but she does also say that like between the greens and the blacks, like there's only one who has shown compassion to her, right? And like people like her, like she could Rhaenyra could have very easily just been like, well, I didn't make the promise Daemon did, so like I'm gonna keep you locked up, because she is valuable to her. She can get information from her, but she chose to honor the word that she was given. And that, again, that shows a lot about Rhaenyra. Whether or not that's like the smart thing to do, that is like the honorable thing to do, and she chose to do that. And Massaria is so smart, because she knows like before she had the wealth, she had like she had like not a place within the royal layer, but she had like their ears, she was able to like get information from them, she had access, but she didn't have a place with them until she realized the only thing that's missing, and the only thing that'll actually like get her to the not even the status that she wants, but to like actually get her to make a change and make like a permanent change, is to be part of that layer. And so she's like, I want to place at your court, which is brilliant. And she even like before that, she even says a line that I love her for. She says, what is the life of a queen worth these days, right? Like she's like, I saved your life, what is that worth? Right? I didn't save anybody's life. Like I saved your life, and also like lives of others at the castle. But it was mainly like Rhaenyra's life. But she's like she's negotiating with like such brilliance. Like this is like she's like up here with her negotiating, and she knows like in order for her, yeah, in order for her to actually like be effective and have any sort of like impact, not just for herself but for small folk everywhere, she has to be in that council room, help like making decisions and seeing what decisions are being made, and try to like steer things in a way that would actually like help the small folk. And again, she has like a lot of information and a lot of like, because she had a lot of access back at King's Landing that she can provide. So she's like being very like strategic, and I love it. She's brilliant, and I can't wait to see what step she gets up to.
And again, we're seeing that mirror with Team Green, because Aegon makes Larys his master of whispers. And
Dude, dude.
Rhaenyra is basically, that's what Masara is basically going to be to her, also as well. So they're getting all their positions, handled out. They're like handed out. So yeah, that was really cool.
I'll get to Laris in a second, but one thing I want to talk about with that scene with between Rhaenyra and Missaria is like we can see sea smoke in the background flying, and just having that imagery, just having that imagery of like there's a dragon flying in the background of just like this like discussion that's happening was just so beautiful. I loved it. But then she also like yeah, and then she says sea smoke is restless, and then Missaria, I think I don't know if she knows, but like she's very perceptive, and she says, "Well, maybe he's lonely." And like the look on Rhaenyra's face at that moment, part of me was like, "Is Laenor actually dead, or is Laenor has because he's been gone for so long?" Sea Smoke is like restless without his rider, and so that's like why he keeps like circling around. He Laenor is nowhere to be found and isn't like taking him out on rides, and that bond between dragon and rider is strong. And so if one is gone for a really long time, I'm assuming it would affect Sea Smoke. But part of me for a second there was like, wait, did Laenor die? Because it's like, is that why he's like restless? Because he like wants to go like that's like a bond that got broken, and now he's like out and about circling because I don't know how long he's been restless for, but it seems to be something like new-ish that's happening in the castle that he's going out and circling. So part of me is like, well, maybe that means Laenor is dead or something. But anyways, I'm sure they'll get back to that. But it was just like it was just nice. It was like a little subtle thing that they that they put in there.
And it's showing us that Sea Smoke is going to have an important part in this whole thing, and whatever story we're going to get with whoever's going to end up writing him and all that stuff. So it's they're putting in those little pieces.
Yep, yep. I mean, they kind of already foreshadowed a little bit in the last episode, I think.
I think so too.
I'm really excited with that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. Next then we get Rhaenyra talking with Rhaena, and she's basically telling Rhaena, listen, you need to take my kids and these dragon eggs, and you need to be out. I need you to take my kids away. You're gonna be their mom, and you're gonna be these eggs mom. And Rhaena was not having it. She was not happy at all because she wanted to stay and fight. I want to be here and do something. But I believe that Reina doesn't have a dragon, right? Or it hasn't, or
Her dragon, I believe, never hatched or hasn't hatched yet, as far as we've seen. Yeah. I think that she had a dragon egg, it never hatched, and so she currently doesn't have a dragon to ride. Although I don't know why they didn't have her try to, what's the word? Merge? What's the word? Like when they go to like, because they do have like riderless dragons on Dragonstone, so I'm wondering why they, or maybe she did try to go
and they just didn't
like to
happen.
these
Yeah.
dragons and see if they would like, yeah, if there was like a connection that would happen there, maybe it didn't. But if they hadn't done that, like I'm wondering why they wouldn't have her do that. But currently she doesn't have a dragon that she's able to ride. She does still have, I think the egg still exists, but it hasn't hatched. So I don't know whether this would be like a JJ question.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
how
yeah.
long
That
can
would
it last
definitely be
and
a
all of that.
JJ. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like as of right now, I think the understanding is like her dragon egg never hatched, and she isn't currently like a synced up with any other dragon to ride, which she brings up, and like I felt so bad for her. Like that conversation, like I could feel on for both sides because Rhaenyra, obviously she's making this decision. It's very difficult for her. She has to pick somebody very trustworthy. These are her babies. These are her two youngest babies, and the dragon eggs that are like super precious. And we'll see like in the next scene as well. But in this scene in particular, like Rhaenyra, because in my mind I was like, why is she being so like not harsh, but she's being very like stern and cold when she's talking to Rhaenyra or Rhaena, and I realized, well, it's because it's like a very hard thing for her to do emotionally. A, send her babies away, and B, ask Rhaena to do it, right? And so she's putting almost like a bit of a mask on with how she's being a little bit like cold and distant with Rhaena, asking her to do this huge thing for her. Otherwise, she's just going to break up, and she has to be this like composed queen, right? But she's also not commanding her to. She's still asking her to. She's like, like it has to be your choice to make the sacrifice for us. And Rhaena's just like, oh, you're just sending me away because I don't have a dragon. And it's like, it's not though, right? Like this is the most important thing that you could possibly do is take care of her babies.
Because that's basically she's taking care of the future. That's the future right there. That's like the most important thing right now. in Dragonstone are those kids and those eggs. That's the legacy.
Exactly. It's securing the future. Exactly. The legacy, securing the future. And especially with like when you see on the other side, the greens with Jaehaerys being gone, or I mean not being gone, being killed, right? That's like that's a legacy, right? Aegon currently doesn't have an heir, a male heir. Anyways, he has a female heir, but obviously they're not the greens ain't about that. But it's like, like it's more than just like these are her babies. These are her direct descendants. This is who would be next in line if the rest of her family doesn't make it, and she has to make sure that they're safe somewhere else because she can't protect them in Dragonstone if she just had a assassination attempt on her. So it's not an easy thing to do, and like obviously like I feel for both sides in that conversation, and like they both handled it the best that they could, but it was like a beautiful scene to see between the two of them. And yeah, it leads into another scene, but I don't know if we're gonna lead right into that or not. But yeah, I think that was like such an emotional scene
Yeah, yeah,
for the
yeah.
two of them to
I mean, we
have.
could talk about, because that way, we don't have to go deep. But the next scene, that next time that we see them is that they're on their way out. We see little Joffrey, and then the other kid's name is Aegon. Or what are the two little ones? I can't remember their
Yes,
names.
Aegon. Yep,
Aegon
Joffrey,
and
Aegon,
Aegon.
and
Was it
I
Jahari?
forget the last kid.
Yeah, the little one, the smaller one, because it's the
Jaehaerys?
second
No,
one,
because
Jaharis,
Jaehaerys is
maybe.
Aegon's kid.
Yeah.
I think
No,
that
it
was
was.
Aegon's kid, but I don't know if she also named them.
Yeah, I
But
forgot the
anyways,
name. Sorry,
the
but
three
those two,
youngest of
the three
Rhaenyra's kids.
kids, yeah. And then we see Bela giving that pep talk to Reina, basically telling her, listen, this is a very big thing that you're doing. It's very important.
And Raina's like, don't patronize me. Essentially, she's like, no, like I'm basically just gonna be their like, their what did she call herself? Basically like glorified babysitter is what she calls herself. She's like, that's it. Yeah. And it wasn't until I think I don't know if the dragons were part of the initial conversation, but they were definitely in this one. And it wasn't until I think Rhaenyra was like, my kids are obviously like vulnerable, but these dragons' eggs are even more vulnerable. And like, I am entrusting them to you in case, ever, things go sideways here. Like, I'm entrusting our legacy and our future to you. And I think that's when Reina was like, oh,
It's
that's
a
what this
big
is about.
deal.
It's not that exactly. It's huge. It's a huge, huge deal. And I mean, obviously, these dragon eggs look like the dragon eggs that Daenerys down the line hatches, and so obviously she did her job, and they were protected, and they end up continuing the line, hundreds of years later. But like Rhaena in that moment, I think actually felt not just the responsibility, but she felt just how much trust Rhaenyra had in her. And by giving her this responsibility, it wasn't that, she's not able to participate in the war. It's that she's giving her the most important role in this entire war. Because the war is not just about the fighting and the dragons and the strategy and all of that. It's about how do we secure ourselves for the future? How do we protect, the most vulnerable with us? And that's what she's given Rhaena.
That was so good. And
I got so emotional
yeah, so
during
did
that
I.
scene. It was beautiful.
Because you just think about how basically they're gonna be the only ones that survive this whole craziness. You know, it's gonna be them,
That's what it seems like.
and that was because Rhaenyra acted, very smart, and Reina was able to take on that responsibility, and I'm just happy that she was able to see that this was a very prestigious thing for Reina to be doing, for herself to be doing.
Yeah, and and I'm thinking of like who else around her would Rhaenyra have entrusted with that, right? There's no one else. There's no one else around that she would actually entrust that job to, and so like it's on the one hand it sucks that Reina isn't going to be around. I don't know how, obviously, like in the show, whether they're going to like show anything with Reina or whether she comes back, I don't know. But as of right now it feels like Reina's not really going to be part of the war. But again, she's taking on like the biggest responsibility, and Rhaenyra is giving it to her with like complete trust that she is going to be able to fulfill this, and she does. that's like how the Targaryen line continues and those dragon eggs survive. And man,
We get, I think the next scene after that was we get Damon basically walking with the big pants into Harrenhal, like, yo, this is my place now. That's it. I own it. But it was very. But before he even got to like the main hall with everybody there, that the whole scene was just so eerie. Him walking around like a whole maze of a destroyed castle. I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Who's gonna jump out? What's gonna happen to him right now? Who's he gonna fight? You know, it was very cool. I loved that scene. And I think it was, and I think they did that just to show how big that castle is and just how much destruction happened to it from before. And they just wanted us to just you can imagine just how important and big this Harrenhal really is.
yes. Because it's one thing, because Damon does say like Harrenhal is a big castle that would be able to hold all of the troops that they would need, but it wasn't just that they told us; they actually showed us, right? Like from the outside, even as he's coming in on Caraxes, and approaching the castle, like you can see like just how big it is. You can even, like you can see the scale of it when Caraxes lands on it, and then as he's going through the maze, like he goes through like a good portion of the castle before coming upon the few people that are still there. Like it's huge. I mean, obviously it's in disrepair, unfortunately, but yeah, like it's a huge castle and obviously like a very important like stronghold to have for this war. And obviously Damon walks in and he's like, "Yeah, I'm claiming Harrenhal."
I'm Big Daddy, Ren. Big Daddy's here.
It's like, what are you gonna do? I've got a dragon up top.
And then the guy, I think his name is Simon Strong. He was like, okay, fine, hey,
Yeah,
this is
he's
all
like,
you, buddy. You got
we
it.
good?
You got it.
All yours. You want to take over this mess? Be my guest.
Go ahead. But I love that we find out because I was like, wait, Simon Strong is like, is he related to Harwin? And then we find out that they are. They are. I think that was his like cousin or uncle or something.
Cool, if I remember correctly, because he talks about, yeah, he talks about like his brother perishing in the fire. Is it his brother? But anyways, like he talks about the actual, yeah, whoever was like head of Harrenhal previously, which would have been Laris and Harwin's father, perishing in the fire. Harwin obviously, and like the fact that they all know that it's Laris, like it's just like he's like, yeah, in this wet place, you really think the fire that big?
This castle is mad moist. I don't know what you're talking about with a fire over here. Let's like, what are we talking? Like, hello. He was like, nah, we're good.
It's not even a secret. They know it's Laris. They hate him for it, and they're like, yeah, we're definitely not going to be on their side. And it's interesting that Laris never considered that like the fact that it would be so obvious that it was a fire that that he would have been part of, because he is very like strategic. And I'm glad that they also like connected that from the previous season, because they just kind of show it as like, oh, Harwin died and like that was kind of the end of it, but now they're kind of showing the consequences of previous actions. And like I think Laris is gonna it's gonna come back to haunt him, that decision that he made. Absolutely.
I think so too. I think so. There's gonna be like everybody already is like not trusting him at all. They don't like him at all. So yeah, yeah. And then we get this very self like confident looking woman, black haired woman come inside, and I think everybody is gonna go nuts. Like again, we're not lore connoisseurs with the books, but I think we've seen enough on the socials about everybody getting so excited about this character, and people are gonna go nuts, so nuts because we're talking about Alice Rivers. Oh my God. Yes, we
And they
finally get
don't name her.
excited. Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, they don't name her in this episode, but you can tell that she's an important character. And obviously like everybody's talked about like the actress playing Alice Rivers and like lots of excitement around. Again, I'm like you, we don't really know what's going to happen lore wise or in the story. We just know she's like very important. She has a big role to play, and the way that they introduce her, she's like walking in, like you said, confident. It's also like it's not even just confident, but like there's no fear. Like whereas everybody else is sort of like on edge a little bit of like you know, this new guy came in with a dragon, he's claiming Harrenhal. She's just like, oh, just another day, like sauntering in. There's no fear, there's no nothing, and it's almost like she kind of already knows who he is. There's like this like long like lingering look at him of like, oh, it's you kind of thing.
Like I was expecting you. I already know you was
Yeah, right.
coming.
Yeah. Yep.
So something very interesting happens in Harrenhal, but we'll get to that in a little bit. The next thing we get is we get introduced to Sir Gawain. That's his name, Gawain Hightower, which is Alicent's brother. Basically came through because he wants to go. You know, now that Crispy is going to war, he decided to come and join because I guess he wants to go. You know, glory for the glory of it and stuff. Also, I did not know that Crispy Ho was from Dorne. I was like, oh shit, okay.
I didn't know either. I was like, why you giving them a bad name? Like this is where Oberyn Martell, like that's that. Why are you giving them a bad name?
Like, we love Dorne. We don't love you. They don't claim you. They don't claim you. We don't claim you from Dorne.
That's what I said. I literally wrote down. I'm like, why are you like staining the name of that house, sir? Oh, but yeah, no, his okay, in that scene, first of all, his like god awful haircut, I was like, chef's kiss.
Oh
chef's
my
kiss.
God. Yo, I was dying. I read it. I said it's like, what the hell happened to Crispy's hair?
I was like, the makeup department hates him, and I'm like, yes, just make him look. I'm sorry. Okay, listen. Fabian Frankel is a very attractive man, even in that haircut. But the amount of hate you have for Crispy Cole, Crispy Ho, I hate him so much. I'm like, this haircut befits your foul soul. So bad.
Fabian is already too good looking, and we need people to hate this character. Him with long curls, you know, we cannot have that. That's too powerful. Because him with the long curls, they were like, but now with this freaking little Prince haircut, what's going on?
So bad, little like, but it's like you know the TikTok or like just those videos of people trying to cut their own bangs and they like pull it down and cut it, and then as soon as like it gets cut, it just goes up. That's what it looks like. It's so bad. I love it so much.
Yeah, I was cracking up. I was like, oh my God.
I love it so much because it's so awful. And he's still trying to hit on Alicent during that conversation.
I was like, sir, Alicent was looking at your hair like, this is who I've been like doing stuff with. I was like, oh my God.
And it's interesting that they like give him that haircut. Yeah. It's interesting that they give him that haircut just as Gawain makes an appearance because he now yes. Come on, like
very regal.
He looks enough like Alicent, but like he's just like, I was looking at him like, that can't be Otto's son. I'm sorry. But they also like have Otto in like the like most disheveled hair I've ever seen on the show.
With the beard too, like they really go in making sure that they don't look good.
Exactly. It's like they make like the not rotten inside, you know, appear on the outside. But Gawain, on the other hand, very good entrance, very good appearance. I love that he like immediately is just like he's basically just like not insulting Crispy to his face. Like he's doing like the underhanded compliment thing. As soon as he sees him, I think he knows who he is, but like and I'm sure he knows about him and Alicent because he's like eyeing them as well. But he just like he comes in right away, undercuts like his authority. He does the underhanded compliment thing. You can tell he's like very like very confident in his like when he rides on the horse and everything, and it's just like, oh, this is gonna be great. They just introduced like a character that just like looks and acts like, you know, like very confident, very, you know, all of that. And then you've got Cole on the other hand, who just in the last scene that we saw him was about to like pee his pants from fear, and then has this god awful haircut. And he's going to war.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so good.
I think that juxtaposition was just so nice.
Yes, oh my gosh. And then, we see them right out, and they cut us back to the rat catcher still hanging. Cheese is still hanging there, and he's getting in by a crow. So I don't know. It's just like a type of like, I don't know if you want to call it foreshadowing. It's just like the fact that they still have him there. It's just like they're still not thinking with their heads. Why you still have them hanging there? For people to still be like reminded, Aegon is such a cruel person.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's going to be like obviously like the disease and the smell and everything. Like now that crows are coming to like eat off of it, there's going to be like the body part's going to start falling apart, and they're just like they just completely forgot about this. And that's the thing. I think that's what they're trying to show is like Aegon and his council have completely forgotten about this rat catcher thing, and they've moved on, but this is still like hanging over the heads of the small folk. And like there this is like, yeah, this is like a visual, and then it's also gonna like it's gonna create a lot more issues for the small folk again with like the disease and the smell and the decaying body and all of that, and they're technically not allowed to touch it. Like touch these bodies because it's, the castle put them there, but like Aegon's completely forgotten about it. Like he doesn't care, and they've just left these bodies to like decay out in public like that. And again, it's another like instance of Aegon and his council not thinking and just like leaving these things that are going to fester and that's going to come back to bite them later on. Like, yeah.
That's the metaphor right there, I think. That they're doing things that are gonna come back, that are just gonna be rotten throughout the whole thing, and it's just gonna come back and like bite them in the ass, basically. You know. So yeah. Um. Okay, then we get introduced to this new character called Ulf, the white dude in the bar that he's going around boasting that he's the son of Balon the Brave, which is the brother to Viserys and Daemon. So he's like half brother to the, which I wish JJ was here because I did speak to JJ about this, and JJ was like, that makes doesn't really make sense because in the books he's supposed to be a dragon seed, just like a bastard, but not of Balon. So it might be that this guy is just maybe lying about who his real. I mean, he is a bastard, but he's lying about who his father is because she says that it doesn't make sense that Balon is the father because Balon was too like in love with his wife so that he wouldn't have stepped out on her.
But does he have the? Is he going to play a role later on? Like, is he going to
I
have the
believe so.
ability to
Yeah.
ride dragons?
No, 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 no. No, he does have a part to play, but I don't think no, it's not. I don't think
But
it
it's
has
not
anything
going to
to
be
do with
dragon
it.
riding.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
interesting.
It's just, but he does have a part to play. But he's like talking about, oh no, Rhaenyra is the true queen and stuff, and then Aegon walks right in as he's saying that. I thought Aegon heard him. I was like, oh,
I I'm just surprised that they're having this talk out in public. Like given just how recently all of the all the turmoil with the throne and everything, and he's just outright like just saying things that are treasonous out in public. You know what I mean? And like he hasn't vetted like the other, like he clearly knows one person at that table. I don't think he knows the other two very well, and he's just like saying these things so boldly, and it's like again another example of how Aegon and his whole operation is just very badly managed. Like there's no one that's like there's no one that's like there's no fear from the small folk for repercussions of being traitorous. Like this is like treason, like have the highest order, and he's just no care in the world, and he's just saying this. And again, it's just like the. Mhm. I was just gonna say it's just like again like the mismanagement of everything from like Aegon and his council and everybody that works with him. Like they're just not. They just don't care.
and we see that with Aegon bringing his Kingsguard to a freaking brothel when they're not supposed to be doing that. No, the way when Aegon was getting fitted and they were in there like, ha ha ha.
It looks
Oh,
so bad
please.
on him.
We're virgins. Oh, no, that looks horrible. It looks so bad. But then when
Oh
they
my
were talking
god.
to the King's Guard, they're like, oh, we got a newbie. We got to go, he's a virgin. We have to go, like, think. And Aegon's like, but I thought you guys were supposed to be celibate. And they'll start laughing. And Aegon's like,
Yeah.
Aegon.
It
But
just
then he
shows how
fucking
far they've
he
fallen.
falls into the pressure of it, like into the thing. Like, you're not making them respect you. You're not making them respect their position. Like, what kind of king are you trying to be?
He just doesn't care.
He doesn't.
There's like he doesn't care about like respect. He doesn't care about honor. He doesn't care about like people's roles and everything. He just does whatever he like he's just going to a brothel because he wants to. And he's like, oh yeah, these guys will be company. Like he doesn't care about any of that stuff. He just cares about like wearing Aegon's armor that fits him like so badly. It's almost like as bad as almost as bad as Crispy's haircut, but it does not fit him well. And like you can tell that they're trying to make it fit him and it's just so bad.
It's not
Like it's just
working.
way too long. He's not able to move in it. Like and that's all he cares about is just like oh like the appearance of things. And even again when he was getting revenge in the last episode, it was more about like oh they attacked the crown. Like it's not like he's just trying to like have like this appearance of being a good king. He's not actually like concerned with actually like fulfilling his role or doing anything that actually like gets people to say he's a good king. The opposite is true. And that again, like the Kingsguard, again, they don't have a care for Crispy. They have no respect for him, nothing. But they're also not, they have zero respect for the king as well. And like the fact that they're talking about this stuff again, just like right in front of the king. And like when he reminds them, like, yeah, like, aren't you guys supposed to have like, you know, be celibate now that you've taken your oath? And they start laughing. Like it's not like, oh, they straighten up and they're like, oh no, like that, like the absolute like I don't know what his deal is. It's almost like he thinks that they're all like buddy buddies, and him being buddy buddy with everybody around him is gonna like endear him to them. And yeah, and all it's doing is like they're walking all over him and taking advantage. Like they're like, oh, he's gonna now take us on his dime to, you know, have fun. Like that's really dude, it's just oh man, it's so interesting. Again, back to the mismanagement of his court and his people and everything. He has no idea what he's doing. He's doing everything wrong.
And then walks into the brothel and he actually finds Aemon there with the lady that he's always going to. And of course he starts making fun of him. Aemon is always at the end of the butt end of the joke with him with Aegon and
Yeah.
stuff.
Ever since they were kids.
Yeah, ever since they were kids. So again, showing how there's no real brotherly love there. Aemon is just there because he thinks that's the right thing to. It's his duty as being a high tower, as part of the family. There's no real love or bond there like we see with like Luke and Jace and Joffrey. On
Yeah.
the other.
And and Aegon bringing him onto his council was more that it's like, well, he's useful to me as opposed to like I actually like care about him and his opinion and everything. Yeah, but he's still again like he's still the butt of the joke all the time, and he'll still put him down all the time. And again, it's just like Aegon's just this like child with like this ridiculous ego that's just going around doing whatever he wants all the time. Like it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating to watch, but
And then we get, I guess they wanted to make up for Aegon making fun of Aemon, and then we just get a full-on frontal. They're gonna go crazy with this one. The girlies and the gays and the days are gonna go crazy with this episode. I was trying, that whole scene in the brothel was it was not it was out of pocket. I was like, oh, okay,
it was even with your
okay.
warning, and I was like trying to like avoid that stuff. Even with your warning, I thought I was in the clear once they started talking. It was just like bam, and I was like, why? But I guess no one can say this season is more PG. They're still living up there. I guess Game of Thrones days.
Not.
Oh man,
Yeah, it's very Game of Thrones. I was like, oh damn, okay.
dude.
But yeah, that was unexpected. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh man.
Give the Sims what they want. Give the Sims what they want.
I'm
Oh my
almost
goodness.
afraid of the discourse, but anyway.
This course is gonna be nuts. I'm telling you that right now. Twitter is gonna go nuts today. So yeah. Oh, and then it's just funny because right after that we jumped to Rhaenyra, like being very sad, being very like she's in the kids' playroom, and she's just like it's hurting her. And then we ended with her actually, I think, reading Allison's letter.
Yes. Yep.
She ended
Yep.
up
Yep. Yep.
leaving it, which is what I guess was the ultimate thing that pushed her finally, that final push to do what she did at the end of the episode.
Yeah, because Rhaenys does say like Alicent, when she was still King's Landing, she wanted to find a way to like resolve things diplomatically, and initially Rhaenyra was like, no, she still chose to be like on that side, right? But now she's sort of like, now that she's read the letter, she's sort of like warming up to it a little bit. And then what we see at the end of the episode, which was interesting.
Was it? That shit had me cracking up, but we'll get to that. We see, that's this scene was so cool. This next scene, we see Balaam out patrolling on, and oh my god, and she sees Crispy and freaking Gwen, and she's just hoofs it with the freaking what's her dragon's name? Forgot what her dragon's name is.
Moon Dancer.
Moon Dancer. Oh my god, that was so cool. I was rooting. I was like, oh my god, at least a little zinch, just kind, a little, just burn him a little bit. Burn his
Just
freaking bad hair. It's already bad anyway.
just
I was like, oh my
dude,
god, get him.
I was yelling Dracarys during that scene. I'm like, just Dracarys his ass. Take him out. Like, get rid of him. That's what I was waiting for. I was like, please have him not only like die, like die by that, but like to not even like make it to Driftmark, like to just completely fail at his mission. And I thought it was really awesome how it was like the Kingsguard, like their armor being shiny. That's what was that was their downfall, essentially, like reflecting off the light. In which I was like, did they not think to put a cloak over top of their armor or something? Right? Like it seems like if you know that that's how dragons are going to find you, like it's a simple solution, but instead they were just like, keeping to the trees and everything, and not going out, into like when the sun was shining through the clouds, like they were using cloud cover and trees essentially to conceal themselves. But oh man, Bela almost got him, and I was just like, I was so hoping she would. Part of me was like, I know she's not going to be able to kill him, but I wanted her to like capture him and take him to Rhaenyra or something, right? Like just take him off the table. But unfortunately,
He still got a part to play, so we need to still like have to put up with his crap. It's fine. It's just again, it's just gonna make it more sweeter when it finally happens.
seriously, we should start a little like, okay, does Kristen Cole die this episode? Unfortunately not.
We do a little
The countdown
countdown.
until he dies.
Countdown.
But that would have been so satisfying.
But it was really cool seeing her like riding her dragon like that and actually going into like battle action. That was so cool.
Yes. I loved it. I loved seeing that part of it. I loved seeing like the maneuvering of Moon Dancer to like, and the fact that she was just like gaining on their tails so quickly. And I was like, oh,
And
just
how
like,
she was talking to Moon Dancer, like in all Valyrian and stuff in the command. That was,
I loved it. I loved it. She and it shows Bela's skills as well with how she was maneuvering Moon Dancer. And again, it shows like that connection between Dragon Rider and Dragon with just like how like they will do they will like whatever command is given to them, the dragons will fulfill. And they like, again, there's like emotions in that as well. You could see like Moon Dancer wanting to catch them
it's
as
like
well.
wanted him because Bela wanted it so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Moon Dancer wasn't gonna pull up, even though like Moon Dancer was getting close to the tree line, wasn't gonna pull up until
He was like,
Bela
I'm about
gave
to
the
go
order to
win.
pull
Yeah,
up.
yeah. He
Yeah.
was ready to
Yep.
go
Loved
full
it.
on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Getting and just seeing like Bela like the emotions on Bela, like the rage. I loved it.
Yes, yeah, it was really, really cool. This next part is really interesting with Damon at Harrenhal. We get him actually dreaming, right? Ooh, that dream was something. It was really cool because we get to see Millie Alcock back as young Rhaenyra, but that thing caught me off guard. I thought she was just cradling something, and then it's like no, she's throwing little Jaehaerys head on. I was like, oh my god, that was so unnerving. And then her like this is what like basically Rhaenyra was telling him in that like kind of putting him in his place again in that dream, right?
Yeah. being like, I'm having to clean up after you, essentially. I forget the exact dialogue, but that's what she's doing, is she's like cleaning up after Damon, um, in his actions.
Yeah. And I just think it's interesting that we see her as a young Rhaenyra, because it's like it's kind of like, I guess, showing that ever since, back then, Daemon has had this effect on Rhaenyra in a way that she's always having to like fight against him, fight against all the stuff that he does.
Yeah. And I think it also shows how he still views her in a way. Like he still sees her as this young woman that he has to protect. And that's why he's like doing, that's why he took the action that he did with Blood and Cheese. He's having to he's like, I have to protect her, and so I'm doing like the dirty work, essentially. And also I think it shows like how he's been in love with her ever since she was young, and has felt responsibility towards her ever since she was young. So I think like, yeah, that dream, there's like a lot of layers and details there. Again, I wish we had JJ, because she'd be
Yeah,
able to
yeah,
tell
yeah,
us a
because
little
she
bit
would
more.
be
But
like
I
a
know,
little bit more. But like the just like a general view of it is just about how their relationship has been so intertwined ever since she was younger. You know, Him having to do all this stuff, and then her having to like make the excuses for him and have to, clean up, like you said, after him. Trying to patch the stuff that he's done. And then we see that he was basically dream walking, and he walks up in this. I thought it was one of the coolest like scenes in that I've seen, and because I love that we see how it's the middle of the night, the moon is just shining, it's Harrenhal all destroyed, it's very eerie, middle of the night, and then we get this beautiful weirwood tree, you know, so vibrant right there, and he just wakes up there. He was just basically sleepwalking, and then we see Alice Rivers again, and she's just being all prophetic, badass, like, listen, you're gonna die here, by the way. Okay, bye. That was really that was really cool, but it was also like very unnerving as well, just knowing that they just basically told us his death.
yes, yes. And part of me is wondering as well, like, because we haven't seen Damon have any sort of like lucid dreaming, or like dream walk, like sleepwalking or anything like that while he's dreaming previously. And so part of me is like, well, is this like something new that's happening because he's at Harrenhal, or is it something to do with Alice? Because obviously she's got some prophetic things happening, like, and we don't know anything about her character yet. I mean, obviously if you've read the books, you do, but for those of us who haven't, we don't know anything about her character yet, other than this like prophecy that she says of, you're gonna die here. And so I'm like, what's going on? Is there like something else happening in the background here that's like caused that dream of his to happen, and then for Alice to have this prophecy? I think it'll be, again, interesting to see how that unfolds. But yeah, that whole scene was just like it pulls you in, and you're like, what's going on, what's happening, like, and then all of a sudden, and then you realize like, oh, it's Millie Alcock, and then you're like, oh, he's dreaming, and you're just kind of like, well, what's going on? And I think this is the first time that we've seen any like dream like that happening, because with Helena, we know that she has, prophetic dreams and stuff where it's just like scenes that she sees, but I don't think we've actually seen any of that, right? We haven't in season 1, and we definitely haven't in season 2. We haven't actually seen any of that. We've only ever seen her talking to herself, or like her drawings, but we haven't seen like visuals of what she's experiencing. So this doesn't feel like it's the same thing as like the prophetic dreams that Helena's having, because of, I think, her connection with Dreamfire, right? It's not dragon dreams, it's not prophetic dreams through dragons. This is something else. And so part of me's wondering is if there's going to be like, I don't know, magic, witchy stuff happening. I don't know, because this definitely just like brief little like glimpses, which is what my understanding of dragon dreams are. But this is like a full scene unfolded, and he was like sleepwalking during it. So I think that where there's some other element, something else that's happening.
Yeah, and we haven't had a precedent for Jay Damon sleepwalking before, or anybody dreaming in such a way. So yeah, that's really cool. I'm very interested in this character now. Yeah, I'm very interested in this character. And then now we get to the part, Ms. Rhaenyra over here with big balls, big decides that she's like, all right, I'm gonna do this. Fuck it. This is gonna be like my last. my last attempt at trying to like try to do this peacefully. And she actually goes undercover into King's Landing to talk to Allison. I was like, okay, girl, yo, do it. Let's go. So we see her. She's like dressed as a nun, and she's able to make her way inside. Which, what kind of security are we talking about here? Like, how would you even know what's going on? Because they could have easily been an assassin in a nun's dress and went and killed Allison with no problem. So I don't.
Exactly. Again, that King's Landing, that castle, the Greens, it's just a whole lot of mismanagement at every single level. Like every single level. Like just it boggles the mind. I mean, it makes sense in a way. Like at first I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. Like how is she going to make it in and how are they going to make it believable? And then I was like, wait, they literally have no security. They also don't know 100% what Rhaenyra looks like. And if she's hiding her hair, then there's nothing really that's like, showing obvious signs of who she could be. And the fact that it's a nun, people are probably not going to look twice over at a nun walking to go to like church, right? But you're right. It's like, why isn't there more security?
But my thing is that we already know that they're sending assassins left and right towards each other. The queen should not be by herself at any moment, at any point in time. She should have had a guard right there next to her while she was praying, even though that's probably not
Or clear the area
good or clear the area.
until she finishes.
That's basically what they do in real life. If a celebrity or somebody important is gonna go somewhere, they clear out the area just for that person, right?
Or
Which
vet the
is
people going in and out.
yes,
Like,
exactly. But
they're doing
nothing.
none of that.
Oh, you see all these nuts coming right next to her and like all around her, like while she's praying and stuff. Like nothing, everything is hunky dory. So of course,
Yeah.
Rhaenyra comes right next to
Nobody
her.
even checks Rhaenyra for a weapon. She has a dagger in her hand. Like, what is this?
That would have never happened in freaking Dragonstone at all. Who the hell are you?
And this is after, like, the only reason that the assassination attempt on Rhaenyra was almost like actually happened, and he got that far in is because he looks exactly like his twin.
Like his brother. That's it.
Exactly. And he was talking to people and people were talking to him already, like thinking that he's his twin brother. Had it been anybody else, they would have caught him right at the beginning. I'm surprised they didn't catch him getting off the boat. Like security there getting off the boat, but they could have also been like, oh, maybe yeah, maybe be like, oh well, maybe he was on a task and we didn't know or something, right? Like again, he's using his brother as like the credentials for him being allowed. But again, had it been anybody else, I don't think they would have been able to make it. And Aegon's like, oh, they attacked the king and whatever, and he's so like angry at the fact that they were able to make like actually like attack his castle and attack his family, and yet again there's like nothing that's being done to actually like secure the royal family properly, right? Like I can understand if like religiously a guard can't go into this area because it's all like nuns and women. Actually I don't know, but that's what it feels like because all we saw were just nuns in there. But then it's like, again, like we said, like clear the area, vet the people going in, something, right? I yeah, it's just mismanagement top to bottom.
Completely. I thought that their interaction was so cute because they were talking to each other like, "Ah, but girl, but what? Like, like they're like, it was like such a cute interaction. I was like, oh man. Ugh. If the patriarchy hadn't interfered in this relationship, in this friendship, man, they would have been so cute because they were like really talking to each other like, yeah, I know, like, we're not supposed to be talking, but come on now. Like, it was really, really adorable.
Like Rhaenyra had like the dagger, and she's like, "What are you gonna do with that?" She's like, "I don't know. If you screamed, I would have like killed you." And she's like, "And then what?" She's like, "Oh, I didn't think like like." She's just like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
they
okay."
took it just
Like,
like, oh, okay, fine. It was such a cute interaction. I felt so bad, like thinking about what could have been. But at the same time, it had me cracking up when I'm feeling the tension because they're talking about now when Allison's saying no, Viserys did say that Aegon should be king, and you see Rhaenyra kind of starting to believe it, like he said that, like what did he say? Maybe he did. She starts crying, and then it's like, and then and then and then Allison says, yeah, he said that is the he Aegon was the king that was promised. And then you just see Rhaenyra like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah, she
And just
just
like,
does like a
yeah, like, well, it's just like, wait, hold on. What exactly did he say? And he's like, yeah, he said that. So, she said the prophet. She's like, that's a freaking story that he used to tell us. And then they look at each other like about Aegon the Conqueror, and then Rhaenyra's just like, oh shit, and then Allison's like, Aegon the Conqueror, and then you just see both of them realizing at the same time, oh shit, we messed up.
Allison is the one who messed up. Like you. This is it's almost like a like reality TV watching the two of them and be like, that's what he said. No, that's what they said. This is what, like, tell me exactly what they said. Like just like miscommunication. And then when they finally like realize like, oh, that's what it was. And then like Allison's just like, oh
Her color just went away from her face. Like I
yeah,
fucked up. Like that mean like I fucked up. I was like, oh shit, I fucked up.
yeah. and then it makes sense because Allison never actually says like the full like had she said like this is exactly what Viserys had said, and had that line gotten to Rhaenyra or anybody else, although I think Rhaenyra no I think Rhaenyra specifically was the one that that Viserys had told that story to, but had Allison actually like given that full phrase and that been sent to Rhaenyra to be like, this is actually like your father changed his mind and this is what he said, as opposed to Allison just being like, no, he just changed his mind, kind of like the beginning of that conversation. She's like, no, I know, right? Had she actually like said the full phrase from the beginning, all of this would have been
Probably. I mean, it probably would have maybe, but not because Otto would have tried to like spin it, like or someplace. But Allison wouldn't. I feel like Allison wouldn't have been as pushy about it. Like
yes. But Allison also heard what she wanted to hear, right? And she knows that this guy was like, he was drugged up, he was on death's door, he was out of his mind, he was basically talking nonsense. He's never talked about her son like that ever. And up until like earlier that day, he was still like reaffirming Rhaenyra as his heir. She literally heard what she wanted to hear and she went with it. And that's why she didn't like try to get confirmation, and she didn't like try to like get like validation for like the words that were actually said until this moment. Like she's like, oh yeah, he just said Aegon's name, therefore it's my son. And she like obviously she knows there was like an Aegon from previously,
there's so many
and she
Aegons.
knows
What is
that,
she talking
and
about?
she also knows Rhaenyra's son's named Aegon, right? But she chose to hear what she wanted to hear. She chose like to hear that it was her son Aegon and not like Rhaenyra's son, for example, or Aegon the Conqueror. Like there's already been 3 Aegons at this point, right? Like she's just she heard what she wanted to hear, and she like never wanted like confirmation that she was wrong. Like she's like, oh no, he said it, so that's what we're going with. She didn't want to be told that like actually you got it wrong, and so that's why she went with. And I think even here, like she didn't want to say the like she wasn't saying what he said. She was just like, no, I know there was no mistake. I know there's like, and it wasn't until Rhaenyra pushed her for the phrasing of what he said that she then was able to be like, oh, that's wrong. Or to realize that like what she heard was wrong. And even then she's like, no, it's too late. Like she doesn't want to hear it. She doesn't want to admit that she made a mistake. She doesn't want to admit that she
Because Rhaenyra's like, okay, we could do something about it, and Allison's like, listen, it's too late. Yeah, we can't do nothing. Like at least I think she's kind of admitting like that she messed up, but she's like, but we can't do nothing about it anymore. That's it. Yeah, especially her. 'Cause at least right now, she has a position in the council. She has some type of, authority. If that changes, she's gonna go back to being nothing. She's probably gonna go have to be a nun or something with the seven.
Yeah. 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 She's not even going to be the king's mother. She's not going to have a place or a position or anything at all, right? She's probably going to go back to Hightower, to the High Towers. Like that's like, or maybe she would stay at court. I don't know, but she wouldn't have any influence or anything like that. And she's just finally getting that. And we see her in the council room actually giving advice, and she thinks that she has this like control over Aegon, and she has his ear and all of that. She doesn't want to let go of that power that she has.
Yeah. Oh, maybe she could go. She could just go with Crispy Ho and go sell oranges in the countryside. I don't know. They could just run away. You know what? Go. Bye bye. We don't care about you. Go sell oranges and cinnamon and shit. Go away.
Dude, it's literally the two of them match made in hell. They're meant for each other. I swear to God. Like those two, I just dumber than each other. Like bag of rocks. Both of them, I swear.
But I love that. I think the most important part of this scene, like the whole point of this scene for me, I think, was that it was just to give Rhaenyra that confirmation. Like, I am support. My father did not change his mind at the end. He wanted me to still be here. And you see it at the end. That Emma DRC, their face acting, because you see the complete face change to conviction. Like, oh, I'm in it now. We go no. I'm fighting for my throne. This is supposed to be mine.
And because there was a little bit of doubt in there as well, right? Like there a little bit of doubt of like, did my father change his mind right before dying and name Aegon? And it's like, no, no, no. Like there's no way. Like he didn't spend a whole lifetime defending Rhaenyra as his heir, only for the last minute. And now Rhaenyra has that confirmation, and she knows that Alicent knows that she was wrong, and so now it's going to justify her actually like taking the lead and taking steps forward in the war in order to actually like regain her throne, and is not going to have sympathy or regard for Alicent anymore. I mean, she's not going to be cruel about it. Maybe she will. I don't know. But now it's like vindication and justification for whatever Rhaenyra does afterwards, being like, no, this is actually my birthright, like 100% my birthright. And whatever lies they've told and whatever lies they're choosing to continue with, that's on them. It's no longer on me. There's zero doubt now that Rhaenyra was supposed to be the next in line, and that they're all like in cahoots and doing all of this just because they want to grab at power, not because of anything that Viserys actually said.
Even Otto knew.
Even Otto
I don't
knew.
know.
He understood that
He
wasn't.
knows. He
Yeah, but
understood
he
that
doesn't
wasn't.
care. He
But he's just
manipulated
gonna go with
Alicent.
it. Yeah, he just went with it because this is perfect. I'm gonna stick with this now.
He
But
used
he
it
knew,
as an
of
excuse.
course. I
Otto
mean,
used it as an
he
excuse,
said it to
and he
freaking
used
Aegon.
exactly. It's like, oh, is that what you think that he made you king? He knows. And even Aemon knows that it was like that they usurped the throne. Everybody knows, but they're still using that lie of Viserys as like the thing that vindicates them, when really they would have done it whether or not Viserys had said that. And I think that's what this scene is really showing, is no matter what, whether Viserys had said that or not, they still would have done, they still would have usurped the throne, they still would have put Aegon on it, they still would have done all of this, no matter what Viserys had said. Because now that they know the truth, Alicent's not going to share this with anybody, but she knows, and the rest of them aren't going to care even if they knew. So it does like really provide clarity and like remove all of that doubt. And again, I think also interestingly enough, this scene I think was also for the fans, because people who were defending Alicent from season 1, but what she heard and being like, oh no, she's fulfilling his role, like fulfilling like the promise or whatever, she has no way of knowing that was about Aegon the Conqueror. Like she's just trying to fulfill his his wish as her husband. And it's like, well, now she knows. So what was this about her fulfilling her husband's dying wish? What was this about her honoring her husband? Does she really care? Because if she cared, she would actually put an end to all of this and be like, guys, we messed up. This is wrong. But no, she doesn't. It was never about Viserys. It was never about her doing the right thing. It was never about honoring him. It was just a power grab. And she was handed on a silver platter the one thing that she could use to justify it. So, yeah. Zero sympathy for Alicent. Up until this point, there was sympathy, but now she's made her bed. She knows what she's doing is completely wrong, and she doesn't care.
Oh man, so next episode is definitely. I think we might get some action next episode because Damon is at Harrenhal, and now we're gonna get Crispy going to Harrenhal. So I'm wondering how that's gonna go down. And now
Damon's not
Rhaenyra.
gonna let him go, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no, of course not.
he's not
And
gonna let
now
him out of
that
there alive if he
Rhaenyra,
actually makes it.
now Rhaenyra is like actually, on her thing, and is she gonna come back to council like, all right, you know what, let's do this, let's go for it, I'm guessing that's what she's gonna do now. She has to. What else is she gonna do? That's it. She did her last. She went and like tried the last thing that she could have tried, which was talking to Allison. It didn't work, and she got the confirmation that she is supposed to be on that throne. So
Exactly. She got the confirmation she's supposed to be on that throne, and she got the confirmation that they're not going to stop. That there is no peaceful way that they're gonna that the Greens would agree to. I am surprised that Alicent didn't leave the church, chapel, whatever, and immediately send in her guards to like capture
that
Rhaenyra.
is the thing. That
Right?
yeah.
And maybe Rhaenyra escapes. Maybe she does, and Rhaenyra escapes. They don't show us that, right? Like they end it, I think, as Alicent's leaving. But I hope they do show a little bit of. Well, I mean, that also like opens up the question because she knows now what Rhaenyra is going to do. Like she knows that now Rhaenyra is 100% against them, and it's going to be war. So like it would be the smart thing to do to send the guards into Rhaenyra and capture her. So it's like, well, now that they've captured the false queen, I mean, she knows that Aegon's going to want her head, but at the very least, she could like try to like convince them to just lock her up, and then the war would be over. But it's like she still it's her feelings for Rhaenyra or their history or their past or whatever. Or maybe she's just dumb. I actually wrote down, I'm like, Alicent, you dumb bitch. So she's just living up to. She's just sorry, Monica. We've been swearing this entire. I'm sorry, but she's just so dumb. But no, like Allison's just living up to like her being like dumb and letting emotions get in the way, which I mean, Otto knew. But no, I hope they show us like exactly he manipulated her. But I hope they show us like Rhaenyra like leaving and it not just being like an easy escape or something.
Or maybe she does something and like something try. She has to run for her life or some shit. Like we'll see. We'll see. Next episodes, I think we're gonna get some action. Final. These past two have been very like chill. So episode 4 might be the one where we're gonna be like, Eesh.
I hope we get to see more dragons. This episode we got to see, well, 3 dragons, but 2 of them being ridden, Caraxes and Moondancer. We almost got to see Aegon on Sunfire, because I don't even think we really saw Sunfire in season 1. Because in the books he was supposed to do like a victory lap on Sunfire, but then they switched that out for Rhaenys on Meleys leaving, like through the floorboards. So yeah, I just hope we get to see more dragons. I love it. But yeah, the fallout from this episode, I think, is really gonna like jumpstart the actual war, and Rhaenyra is gonna be a lot more like
Confident in having to do something about it now.
exactly. There's zero doubt. Just moving forward. So
All right. So any final thoughts?
yeah, lots of thoughts. I'm loving how they're setting up, how they've been setting up like the different like pieces of this war, how we're getting to see more outside of just Dragonstone and King's Landing, how we're seeing more of these new characters come in, and the way that they've been introducing characters, like they previously introduced Adam and Alan and now Alice Rivers. So I'm loving how they're introducing them, and they're like giving us little bits of information for those of us who haven't read the book. So I'm so excited to keep learning more about them. And like you said, I'm hoping to see some action in the next episode, because they've set up so many pieces right now. And I think they're gonna have to like come to a head a little bit, especially with the ending of this past of episode 3, with Rhaenyra now just having this conviction and this knowledge that she's like 100% the rightful heir. Zero doubt about it, and the Greens are not going to back down. They're going to continue on with their hubris. So now she gets to actually like take action and take that action with conviction, without feeling like she's she's doing something wrong, or that maybe her father did change his mind at the last minute, but now she knows 100%, and she's going to take back what's hers.
Yes. Oh man, I can't wait. That it's everything that you said. We're gonna get some action. We're gonna get the consequences of this episode, and I'm excited to see Harrenhal. What's gonna happen in Harrenhal when Crispy gets there and he meets up, you know, with Damon, because Damon's gonna be like, "Oh, you, yes."
I mean, if Crispy has any sense, if he sees Caraxes a mile away, he would turn back around. Like, if he has any sense whatsoever, seeing Caraxes on Harrenhal.
No, you know what I think is gonna happen? Rhaenyra's gonna send troops to Harrenhal too, because she knows that Crispy's heading there.
And she knows that Damon, that's where Damon already headed. I mean, oh, because now she knows that they're heading to Harrenhal. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because she did talk with Bela. I love that scene as well. I know we didn't discuss it, but
Yeah, I
where she's like, "Where? How did you see them from such a great height?" She's like, "Well, maybe it wasn't such a great height." I love Bela. But yeah, I know there's confirmation they're heading to Harrenhal. Daemon was already headed out there on his own. I think she is going to send troops
And
there,
she
and it's
knows
going
that
to.
Damon kept telling her this is an important place that we need to take over. And she was like, she was like, no, 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 let's wait, let's see what. But now that she has this conviction, now that she knows what it is, she's like, you know what? All right, let's go. And she might be sending troops over there.
And she has Corlys and his fleet to send there as well. Because that's the whole conflict is like Corlys and his fleet are preventing like the trade routes through the water from having supplies go down to King's Landing, and Harrenhal is a very like important piece of that puzzle. And so she's got air, she's got land, she's got water, she's got access through all three of those to send troops over. So I think it's going to be really interesting, and I hope we get to see a lot of action in the next episode.
All right. So before we sign off, I want to thank Sue for being a guest on the podcast today. Very, very
Thank
cool
you, thank you.
episode. This conversation is like, this season has been very interesting, very, full of a lot of, even though it's not a lot of action yet, but it's a lot of interesting storyline and character development and stuff. So it's been really cool so far. So, but yeah, do you want to let people know where they can find you on social media?
You can find me at Sue's Theories on both TikTok and Twitter, and also Instagram. I just have an underscore at the end there, but I'm mostly active on TikTok and Twitter.
And you guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Star Wars Tia. I'm there. You already know, talking all geeky stuff. So yeah. So, but this is going to wrap up this episode of the Temple of Geek podcast. And we want to thank everyone who tuned in today, and especially our guest for being with us today. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to hit us up on Facebook or Twitter by using the handle Temple of Geek. If you want to check out some other of our other episodes or shows, why don't you head over to templeofgeek.com, where you'll find all sorts of content that pertain to the world of geek. Thank you again, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Sue, and we'll see you next week with the next
Thank you, thank
episode.
you. Yes, yes, yes,
Bye.
yes.